Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now here in the box, you're saying, Ben, what do you got there? Well, I have an eBay / Facebook marketplace problem, like I'm certain many of you do. I just can't say no to a good deal, especially if I lowball a guy and he takes it. So I was cruising eBay a week ago looking at junk saws for parts only and came across this 562, and it was advertised as being a complete saw with a bunch of parts. They had pictures of the cylinder and the piston, which looked good, and it was supposed to have all of the major components. And the guy wanted a bunch of money for it. I think he wanted like 360 bucks or something, which is too much. He did, in his ad, say that the oiler was melted. The oil pump was melted, is what he said. Which, if you know anything about these 5 Series saws, especially the 562s, that's going to be indicative of a bearing failure. Could be just because the nylon cage went to shit, which these were common for. Or it could have been guy was just horsing a dull chain far too long, ran the thing really hot, heat soaked the crank, which melted the nylon cage. Any of that stuff can happen. But I lowballed him. I said 225. He came back at 300, and I said, look, I appreciate it, but you know, with bottom end damage, which this saw most definitely has based on your description, 250 is as good as I'll go. And lo and behold, he popped for it. So a week later, here we have our basket case 562. Now I intend to rebuild this saw, but open the box, and the cylinder, in fact, I know these are really hard to see on the camera, but the cylinder is in great shape. Still got cross hatching in it. It ain't wore out. There's no scoring in the cylinder whatsoever. The piston looks really good. This will be even harder to see with the camera. The piston's not bad. There's just a touch of wear on the actual piston itself, but the ring is good. There's no scoring on the ring. And as I went through the parts, not only do I have all the parts for this 562, but I have doubles, duplicates for other saws. Like we have this this air manifold that would go on a cylinder. Well, that's already installed on this one. So we got an extra one of those. I believe they call this the carb base. We got another one of those. Got a couple of clutches. This one, the gear, the rim sprocket is fused to the back of the clutch. That's all that nylon material from the worm gear drive and the bearings right there. That's no good. But we got a second clutch with it. That's in serviceable condition and not blown up. So that was a score. These are all OE parts. Couple of exhaust gaskets. We got a full set of bolts, dogs, and a whole bunch of hardware, plus another oil pump and a worm gear for an oil pump that's not destroyed, all for 250 bucks. So I thought that was a pretty good deal and pretty encouraged by what I saw. Of course, if we look in here, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but there's no cage left in that bearing, and this oil pump, sure enough, is just melted. So this thing got really hot. Don't know if it's spun on the crank or not. We'll have to take a look at that when we take it apart, but this should be a rebuildable saw. Right now I gotta get there's some tools you gotta have for these. There's a special case splitter and then an installer tool for drawing the crankshaft into the bearing once it's installed in the case half when you get the new stuff in. Right now I'm struggling to find those tools. Lots of places have them listed, but nobody seems to have them in stock. And so I'm trying to hunt that down. The last place that said they could get them for me then told me because it was a diagnostic tool, it would be 4 to 6 weeks in order for me to get it, which blew my mind. I never heard of such a thing. So if you know where a guy can source those case tools for these saws, drop it down in the comments so I can order them up and so we can get this build going. But we're going to put bearings in this saw, seals. Might do a pop-up piston. I did find that you can get a pop-up piston for these. Don't know if I'm going to try that or not, but I'm thinking about it. And we'll do a little bit of, we'll do some timing on it, see where the port timing lines up. We're gonna gut this monstrosity of a muffler to start with and open it up because these saws run really hot and we want to get the heat out of these things. The heat is the killer of these motors. Thinking about maybe doing some custom exhaust with it. There's a guy that sells pie cuts and reducers to make a pipe. I've got the ability to weld, but I don't know how to come about those little, I don't know, reducers or collectors, if you call them, where they size up and get to the bigger pipe in the pie cuts and then they neck it back down again. I don't know where to go about getting those. I don't know if guys are making those with some forming dies in their shops. Not really sure how to source that. If you know where to buy those, if it's a bought part, or if you know what the tooling is that guys are making those with, do me a favor and put it down in the comments because I'd love to know where to source those so I can play around and weld up my own stuff. But we're going to put this thing back together. We're going to do a series of videos on it. We're going to get into the computer card. We're going to tear this all apart. We're going to clean this. We'll do that on video. This has the original style air filter housing. We're going to exchange that for the newer style air housing that does a much better job of filtration. It's the same air filter that you would find in a Mark II version of this saw, and it goes right on. And this already has the high top, so we won't need to get a new top cover. That will fit. And this will be kind of a fun project. I had one of these, I had a Mark II that I bought brand new, and it went sideways on me. I had 20 hours on it, the dealer said, when I brought it in. I was cutting firewood just like I always had, and I'd been real happy with that saw. And I got through about half a tank of gas, I put it down, and it didn't want to restart after that. Even following the hot start procedure, it did not want to restart. And so, like you do, I'm out there with the throttle pin just winging it over, just praying I can get the thing to cough. Finally got it coaxed to life and got it running. Let it sit overnight, did that field relearn where you start a cold saw and let it idle for like 2 minutes or something, and then go cut with it to try to relearn. And that saw never was the same after that. And it was still under warranty, like I'd owned the thing for 6 months. And I took it into the dealer, a big dealer around here, and they went through it, they cut with it, they hot started it, they did all kinds of things. They tore the muffler off it, they took a look at the piston, they checked compression, everything lined up just the way it was supposed to be, and the data they got from the auto-tune module was within spec. And they called Husqvarna, and Husqvarna didn't have anything for them to do. They said, send it back, and if it happens again, bring it in. And after that, I just never ran that saw again. I was really disappointed with it, and I was always grabbing other saws instead of that one. So finally, I got frustrated, I just sold it. I took a $200 loss on that one and said, you know what, we're just going to move it on. I don't know what's going on with it, but I don't like it, and it's just going to sit here and hang up. And if you never use it, what's the point in having that kind of money tied up? So I'm hoping to rebuild this saw and do some modifications to it. This is clearly a saw that's well out of warranty. It's by the tag on it, this is a 2020 model. So based on what I know, this is what, 2 or 3 years, I think, before the Mark II came out. But this should be a relatively decent 562 when we get it all back together and get it running. So follow along, there'll be more updates on this. Right now we're just waiting to find the tools. Once I can get the tools ordered, we'll get the parts ordered, and we'll start tearing this thing down. So stay tuned for more on this saw. This is going to be a fun little project. We're going to see what we can make out of it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.